Hi, welcome to the third episode of GRTV. My name is Andre and I'm the General Manager of Garage R.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm the Senior Distribution Manager of Garage R.
Right, so actually for today, we'll actually be talking about HKS and certain kind of modifications that are more common in Singapore for car owners, including your exhaust and as well as your suspension as well. But Jason, just a quick one, HKS from what I know, right, is actually the world's leading tuning aftermarket parts manufacturer, and these parts are actually made in Japan. So, I've ever once been to a Toyota place and the auntie was like, hey boy, what does HKS stand for, right? Is it Hello Kitty Sports? So I was a bit shocked, but you might want to actually do some kind of enlightenment to the viewers out there.
So what HKS stands for is H for Mr. Hasagawa, K is the other founder, that stands for Mr. Kitagawa, and S is actually Sigma Automotive. They actually assisted the two founders during the startup of the initial stage. So HKS has got a massive network across the world. So having the HQ in Japan, Europe, China, and USA, as well as Singapore, right? So they are always constantly developing products for car enthusiasts that they are always eager to get their hands on.
Right, I think that's spot on. Definitely we are very proud at Garage R, right? To be actually exclusive distributors for HKS in Singapore and Malaysia. So actually, without further ado, I think Jason, the viewers are waiting. Let's dive into our first product, the exhaust. Alright, so for the first exhaust, we do have the HKS LEGAMAX Premium, which is for the Honda VEZEL. So actually, as you can see, it's actually well packaged because of protection, when it flies from Japan. So let's take this out. You guys can actually see the kind of premium quality workmanship of the Japanese being done. Definitely this looks much better than stock, as you guys can see. And for what's more, for the LEGAMAX Premium, what's so special about this is the fact that for every single car make and model out there for this particular exhaust model, it is different and customized just so that they can look much, much better. So actually for this case, definitely the LEGAMAX Premium as well, why most people like it is not only for the looks as well, people can get it because it is LTA compliant. So actually for this case, from your experience with your customers, Jason, what are people saying about this, exhaust?
Right, so comparing to the stock exhaust system, it's actually tapered downwards, dolphin tail. So what happens is that this HKS came out with a dual tip exhaust system. So it looks much more flamboyant, I'll say, right? So looking at the rear end, how you look at it, it looks so much more stylish.
Let's move on to the next exhaust.
Alright, let us go into our next model. This will be the significant silent high power. It's constructed with stainless steel 304 grade material. So this is the renowned cannon shape that everybody would die for. What we call the Milo Kong exhaust system, right? The tip itself is bigger than our fist and all. This is considered small, I would say, right?
And I think what's interesting about Jason is that this is actually for the Honda SHUTTLE. So I think we both know, we had the Honda VEZEL we just talked about, and this is the Honda SHUTTLE. These are very mass market cars, right? And I think a lot of people would not expect that a lot of people that drive these kind of cars will go for these kind of exhausts. But they really, really like the design, like what Jason mentioned. This is really very signature in terms of its look, cannon-shaped look, and definitely the kind of bassy sound that it gives off is really, orgasmic, as what I think most of our customers would say. Right, so I think that's pretty much it for the second exhaust that we have. Moving on to the third exhaust. Alright, so now we have the third exhaust in place, and this is actually the HKS Legal Muffler, which is applicable for the Honda Civic FC1, which is the 1.5 turbo. So as you guys can see, these are two very beautiful titanium tips. And you can see that it's obviously quad tip as well, which is very interesting for this FC1. So what can people say about titanium tips? I think it really reflects Japan workmanship, especially what HKS has done for the customers driving these cars. It's really amazing. Really very good feedback from the clubs, from the owners as well. And for this system, pretty much what we talked about was more mufflers. This has a cat bag as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. So what happened is that HKS actually took the effort to reproduce something from the catback system, which is after the catalytic converter all the way to the rear end, where you have a quad tip system here. Give it a much bolder look compared to a stock system.
So let's move on.
Okay, so now let's go into our last set of exhaust system here that we're going to introduce. This is meant for the Suzuki Swift Sports 1.4 Turbo ZC33S. Alright, so what is so interesting about this SPEC-L 2? So it's very light, it's as light as titanium. It reduces the weight comparing the stock from a 30% to a 60%. So from the previous SPEC-L 1, it comes with a carbon tip, but now it's replaced with a titanium tip. So this is it. It's very basic and light in its weight saving.
Yep, I think Jason, you're right. You know, for this, especially because it's called the SPEC-L model, and L stands for lightweightedness. Any car which is looking for performance would be sure to go for something like that because of its lightweightedness. So I think that's pretty much it, you know, for the exhaust portion. Let's move on to the next one, which is suspension.
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right. Alright, we're finally down to the suspension. It kind of feels like Christmas altogether already.
Yeah.
So let's take the suspensions out. Right. So this is actually the HIPERMAX 4 GT. You know, for the HIPERMAX 4 GT, I think most of the time customers would actually ask us, you know, is this something that is too harsh for my setup? You know, I think most people just want this for like a sportier kind of drive, but some customers might be a bit too, you know, scared, especially with family, with kids. You know, what's your take on this, Jason?
Okay, so GT is actually developed with the sporty drive and not compromising the comfort ride.
I see.
So, and what happens is that this suspension itself is fully adjustable with height, as well as the damping that we can adjust from here to customize your ride comfort.
Right.
Yeah.
So this 4 GT is actually applicable for the Honda Civics FC1 and FC5 as well. You know, we do have a lot of customers over here going for this just because they would like something just a bit more sporty and also for comfortable drive as well. So I think without further ado, let's move on to the second suspension that we have.
Okay, let's bring up this HIPERMAX S-Style C. It stands for comfort. So this is mainly used for the sedan cars, for family that often go for long drives, and this does not compromise your comfort at all. Having said that, it comes with a very comfortable spring rate that's customized to this, and it does not allow you to adjust your damping rate.
This is actually one of the best suspensions that we have for people that would like to travel long distance. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right? For the S-Style C, and this is actually for the Toyota CHR as well.
Yeah, that's right. Looking at the CHR on the roads nowadays, they are customized with nice body kits, and this actually allows them to lower down their car rides, you see? So giving it a real stylish ride that they have.
That's right. Okay, so let's actually move on to the third one. Alright, so finally, this is the HIPERMAX 4 SP, one of the most raved HIPERMAX suspension systems that we do have, I think throughout the last 10, 20 years around, and there's a reason for this, right, Jason? I think for the SP, this is actually one of the harshest ride qualities you can get after installing this set, and this is actually for the CZ4A, the Evo 10. So I think for this case, you have a lot of experience yourself, Jason, with track days, you know, at Sepang, even in Malacca, and some sanctioned races in Singapore as well. You know, what's your thoughts on customers that actually get the SP?
All right, so the thing about HKS suspensions, they are actually accustomed to street performance, and of course, the SP series allow us to bring it down to track for time attack, brakings, and all. So, and even their track days. So, and not compromising our comfort level with our family, of course, right? HKS also came up with this design for the camber plate, so we can actually accustom to our car alignment setup to break our time records to get better control on the track.
Right, I think spot on. This is actually the go-to suspension if you're driving a car that you like lowered, you know, that you like to go up for maybe track or some very spirited driving, well, legally of course, in Singapore. So I think you guys can all see that the similarities for all the HIPERMAX is the gold and the white and the black kind of contrast and christening. It's really, really very pretty, but unfortunately after you install it, you can't really see it. But what you can get out of it is really the feeling, right? I think a lot of people actually say that, you know, once you have the SP, the kind of feelings you get while driving, you know, the traction control, basically the road's essence is actually being lifted and being inserted into the driver's feelings and emotions. And I think these are things that you can only get using an aftermarket suspension like the HKS ones that we have just presented to you. So we've come to the end of today's video. You know, how about yourself, Jason? Between the HIPERMAX or the exhaust, which one will you actually do first?
For me, definitely the suspension, because I would rather have a control and safety aspect, which my family and my kids, they simply love the ride. And of course, without them, I will do some spirited driving myself within the speed limit.
Legally?
Yeah, legally, of course. Yeah, having some fun with the car. Yeah, that's right. How about you, Andre?
I think you know me, Jason. Definitely the sound. I'm going to make sure that everyone knows that I come back home, and when I leave home, I kind of like that kind of attention on me. Yeah. So actually, how about you guys? You know, for viewers out there, which would you choose, the exhaust or the suspension, as your first upgrade to your car? Comment down below. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.